before I tell you my story, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and stay until the end. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. What I'm about to share isn't just another cheating story. It's a confession, raw and unfiltered. A mistake that cost me everything. You see, I had what most people would call a stable marriage. My husband, Marcos, was a good man, kind, loyal, predictable. And maybe that was the problem. Life became routine, passion faded. And before I even realized it, I was craving something more. Something dangerous. And that's when Felipe walked in. My own cousin. Charming, confident, completely off limits. But that's exactly what made it so intoxicating. At first, it was just innocent flirting. But let's be honest, there's no such thing as innocent when you're a married woman entertaining another man. One message led to another. One secret meeting turned into something bigger. Until suddenly, I was trapped in a real story of infidelity I never thought I'd live. And worse, I thought I could get away with it. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. Marcos found out everything. And the way it happened? Let's just say it was brutal. So stay with me, because this story isn't just about cheating in marriage. It's about temptation, consequences, and the kind of regret that never fades. Let's begin. 10 years of marriage should mean stability, right? But what if stability turns into monotony? That's exactly what happened to me. Marcos was a good husband, reliable, caring, predictable. But that predictability became suffocating. Every day felt the same. Wake up, work, dinner, sleep. I didn't realize how numb I'd become until the night of my cousin Felipe's birthday. It started as any other gathering, but something shifted. A glance, a smile. Suddenly, I felt awake again. Felipe was everything Marcos wasn't. Charming, confident, effortlessly magnetic. He spoke with an ease that made everyone gravitate toward him, including me. When he pulled me into a conversation, I felt seen in a way I hadn't in years. My laugh wasn't forced. My heart raced in a way I'd forgotten it could. It was just innocent fun, right? A harmless crush, the kind you shake off by the next morning. At least, that's what I told myself. But deep down, I knew better. The night progressed, and so did the tension between us. A touch on my arm that lingered too long. A knowing smirk when our eyes met. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to step back, but another part, one I hadn't felt in years, begged me to lean in. It was dangerous, intoxicating, and completely wrong. Yet, in that moment, I didn't care. I felt alive. And once you taste that feeling again, it's impossible to forget. When I got home, I lay beside Marcos, staring at the ceiling. His steady breathing should have reassured me, but instead, it felt like a reminder of everything I'd been missing. My phone buzzed, a message from Felipe. My pulse quickened. I hesitated before opening it, but deep down I already knew. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. At first, it was just casual. A great seeing you last night text from Felipe. Then a joke. Then a compliment. Before I knew it, we were texting daily, our conversations shifting from harmless banter to something deeper, something dangerous. He made me feel like I was the most fascinating woman in the world, reminding me of a version of myself I thought had disappeared. And the worst part? I wanted more. I wanted to keep feeling this rush, this fire. Marcos was right there, but he felt miles away. I'd read Felipe's messages under the covers at night, smiling at my screen like a teenager with a forbidden crush. He asked about my dreams, my frustrations, my hidden desires. He listened, truly listened, in a way I hadn't experienced in years. It felt intoxicating, like a secret world only we understood. I kept telling myself I could stop anytime, but I didn't.
I didn't want to.
The texts turned into stolen moments. A coffee here, a lingering touch there. Every time we met, the air crackled with unspoken tension. I knew I was playing with fire, yet I couldn't pull away. My heart pounded whenever his name appeared on my screen. My stomach flipped when he brushed his hand against mine. It was dangerous, reckless, but it was also thrilling. And once you step into that world, there's no easy way out. One night, Felipe's words hit differently. I can't stop thinking about you. My breath caught in my throat. This wasn't just flirting anymore. It was something more, something real. And in that moment, I knew I had already crossed a line I could never undo. The first time we kissed, I felt my entire world shift. It happened so fast. One moment, we were laughing in his car, and the next, his lips were on mine. My body betrayed every ounce of logic screaming at me to stop. The rush, the fire, the thrill of doing something so undeniably wrong. It was intoxicating. When I pulled away, breathless and dizzy, I expected guilt to hit me like a tidal wave. But it didn't. Instead, I craved more. From that night on, we couldn't stop. Secret messages turned into stolen hours, and stolen hours turned into reckless nights. We found any excuse to be alone. Hotel rooms, back seats, whispered phone calls at midnight. Every encounter felt like stepping closer to a cliff's edge, but I didn't care. Felipe made me feel alive, desired, irresistible. Meanwhile, Marcos, oblivious to the storm brewing behind his back, remained the same steady, predictable husband. And yet, deep inside, something started to shift. The excitement began to tangle with guilt. I'd wake up next to Marcos and feel like a stranger in my own marriage. He'd kiss my forehead before leaving for work, and I'd flinch at the weight of my secret. I told myself he wouldn't understand, that this wasn't about him. It was about me, my needs, my loneliness, my craving for something more. But the excuses felt thinner each day, especially when I caught him staring at me differently, like he knew something was off. Then it happened. A message notification popped up on my phone, Felipe's name, a simple "I miss you." Marcos saw it. His expression didn't change, but his eyes did. They darkened, studying me for just a second too long before he looked away. My stomach dropped. He didn't say a word, but I knew he was starting to suspect. And for the first time, fear crept in. From that moment on, things were different. Marcos wasn't the clueless husband I had convinced myself he was. He watched me more closely, noticed the way I checked my phone with nervous hands, how I avoided his gaze when he asked about my day. The warmth in his eyes faded, replaced by quiet suspicion. I told myself I was imagining it, that he couldn't possibly know. But deep down, I felt the shift. The silence between us grew heavier, suffocating. One night, as I was brushing my hair, he stood by the door, arms crossed. "Is there something you want to tell me?" His voice was calm, too calm. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure he could hear it. I forced a smile, pretending not to understand. "Tell you what?" The lie tasted bitter on my tongue. He held my gaze for what felt like an eternity before shaking his head and walking away. I exhaled, but the relief was short-lived. Felipe, on the other hand, seemed unconcerned. He was bold, careless. "Let's meet at a motel this time. More privacy." My pulse raced. The risk was growing, but so was the hunger. I knew I should say no, that every step deeper into this affair was a step closer to disaster. And yet I said yes. It wasn't just the passion, it was the escape. An escape from the growing tension at home, from Marcos's silent interrogations, from the reality of what I was becoming. As I packed a small bag that night, my hands trembled. I told myself it would be the last time. Just one more meeting, one more taste of this fire before I walked away for good. But deep inside, I knew the truth. I was already too far gone. And I had no idea that this time, Marcos wouldn't just suspect. He would know. The adrenaline rushed through me as I stepped into the motel room. Felipe was already there, leaning casually against the bed, that familiar smirk on his lips. "Finally," he murmured, pulling me into his arms. For a moment, the outside world didn't exist, just us, lost in this intoxicating web of secrecy and desire. But then, the door burst open. Time froze. Marcos stood there, his face a mask of quiet devastation. No rage, no yelling, just a silence, so heavy it crushed the air from my lungs. My blood ran cold. He wasn't surprised. He knew. He had known for a while. That realization hit harder than anything. Felipe stiffened beside me, but Marcos didn't even look at him. His eyes were locked onto mine, searching for something, an excuse, a denial, a shred of guilt. I couldn't move. Then, without a word, he turned around and walked away. No accusations, no dramatic confrontation, just quiet, irreversible rejection. That was worse than screaming, worse than a fight. Say something. Stop him. My mind screamed, but my body refused to move. The sound of his footsteps echoing down the motel hallway was the final nail in the coffin. Felipe muttered something under his breath, already reaching for his shirt, but I wasn't listening. The weight of what I had done came crashing down all at once. The game was over. No more secrets, no more stolen moments. Marcos had seen everything with his own eyes, and there was no coming back from this. And for the first time, the thrill was gone, replaced by a cold, sinking dread. The days after felt like walking through the ruins of my own life. Marcos didn't yell, didn't beg for explanations. He simply left. A cold legal process followed. Divorce papers arrived at my door with brutal efficiency, no discussions, no second chances. He was done, and I couldn't blame him. The home we built together? Gone. The life I once knew? Shattered. And for what? A thrill that evaporated the second reality crashed down on me. Felipe, the man who had once made my heart race, became a stranger overnight. At first, we tried to hold on, convincing ourselves that what we had was real. But without the secrecy, the rush, the forbidden whispers, it all fell apart. The attraction that once burned so fiercely faded into nothing. One morning, he packed his bags and left without a word, returning to his old life as if I had never existed. And there I was, alone, staring at the wreckage of my choices. I replayed everything in my mind, searching for a way to justify it, to make it make sense. But no matter how I twisted it, the truth remained the same. I destroyed my own life for something that was never meant to last. The irony? What I had with Marcos wasn't broken, it was just neglected. And instead of fixing it, I set it on fire. That realization was the heaviest weight I had ever carried. And yet, life goes on. The world doesn't stop for regret. People whisper, friendships fade, and I am left to pick up the pieces, knowing that the only person I can blame is myself. If I could go back, would I change it? The answer is obvious. But time doesn't grant second chances. It only forces you to live with the consequences. And that is a punishment I'll carry forever. So now you know my story. You know how one reckless decision turned my entire life upside down. But here's the real question. How many people out there are walking the same dangerous path right now? Maybe it's you. Maybe you're justifying that one message, that one coffee meetup, telling yourself it's harmless. But trust me, it never stops there. If you're in a relationship, ask yourself, are you willing to throw it all away for a moment of excitement? Because that's exactly what I did, and the price was higher than I ever imagined. I lost my husband, my home, my sense of self. And the worst part? There was no undo button, no way to fix it. Once trust is broken, it rarely, if ever, gets restored. Maybe you're watching this because you've already been on the receiving end of infidelity and cheating. Maybe you're the one picking up the pieces, trying to understand why someone you loved betrayed you. Let me tell you this, it was never about you. People cheat not because they lack love, but because they lack discipline, self-awareness, and gratitude for what they have. It's a brutal truth, but one you need to hear. So tell me, where do you stand? Have you ever been tempted? Have you ever felt the sting of betrayal? Drop a comment below, and let's talk about it. And don't forget, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications so you never miss another powerful story. Let's keep this conversation going.